Now, $5 million pot, biggest ever. Maybe you can fold everything but the nuts.
It's the PokerNews Podcast.
Welcome to episode 962 of the PokerNews Podcast. I'm Chet Holloway, joined by Mike Holtz and Ben Ludlow at Level 9 Studio in Las Vegas. Boys, we got an interesting episode. I have an interview with Sorel Mizzi. If you've seen his social media, you've seen he's went through an extreme, impressive body transformation. And as somebody who's trying to get in shape myself, I'm like, I got to talk to this guy. So going to get into the weeds with Sorel, who joined me. He was in Switzerland, so from across the world. We're going to talk about Jungleman and getting booted from Hustler Casino live stream after throwing some cards at a dealer. We're going to talk about a record-setting pot, a $5 million pot that was on a streamed cash game. And we're going to talk about another debt situation. If you joined us last episode, Mike and I talked about Maurice Hawkins filing for bankruptcy. We're going to dive into the situation involving Dylan Linde and David Peters. And then we will go into recent tournament winners, wrap up the US Poker Open that we talked about last week, as well as Team Hot Dog getting in the victory column. Gentlemen, it'll be a busy show, but let's talk before we get to Sorel Mizzi here in a little bit. Let's talk about Jungleman. Dan
Is
Cates
it Mizzi? It's Mizzi, right?
Mitzi, I don't know. We butcher names on this podcast all the time. I should have asked him. Probably Mizzi.
I would assume.
But
who knows?
Mitzi.
I'm bad with names
Sorel
too.
the Miz.
Yeah. The Miz, yeah. We talked about the Miz and the Blez in the last episode. But let's talk about Jungleman on Hustler Casino Live. We got a clip of what happened. Check it out.
How much?
I believe he's got two markers as well. There's the call from Jungle.
What the hell? Magic.
Oh, sorry.
Jeez.
Are you
Sorry.
okay?
Wow.
Oh
Sorry.
my god.
Fuck. All right, fine.
Oh my god. I'm hurt.
In crazy mode.
He threw his card so hard it hit Mike in the
I gave you
chest.
200. Sorry, man.
All the way across the table.
Very angry.
14? And 1,000. So not right. Fucking gets runner trips to fucking get a thing.
Wasn't that big of a pot. Throwing your cards that hard is pretty major party foul.
All right, so there you have it. Jungleman getting frustrated, takes his cards, throws them. Was it directed at the dealer? I don't know. Mike, what did you think about this situation?
I think, in the words of RFK, that boy ate a little too much Tylenol when he was younger. No, in all seriousness, yeah, I think that Jungleman does not have social cues. I think that he is, listen, I'm not a medical professional, but I think we can all agree Jungleman has some type of autism. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm an autistic ally. They're my boys. But sometimes you don't understand social cues and you throw the cards at the dealer when you're upset. I don't think that he had any ill intent at all. I've seen Jungleman do the dumbest shit of all time online. I've seen him talk. I've seen him say things that I can only describe as he went full blown. You know, it's not good. But in this situation, I think it truthfully was an accident. It's unacceptable to do that. You cannot throw your cards at the dealer. But truthfully, I don't think Jungleman meant to do it. I really don't. I think he's just uncoordinated and just kind of spacey. You know what I mean? And he just threw the cards. They had to hit the dealer. He immediately threw the dealer what looked like a 1K chip. I could be wrong, but I don't know.
You threw that chip pretty hard, too.
Here's what I'm saying. I will stand wherever you want, and you can stand 4 feet away from me, and you could pelt cards at me all day long if you're giving me 1K every time you do it. Does that make what he did okay? Absolutely not. It's not okay. He did apologize. He seems very, very apologetic about it. Doesn't seem like he meant to. I don't know. I give him a pass.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, look, he's been playing high stakes poker for a long time. You know, he tries his best a lot of times to play a character, to kind of make, poker fun, to like bring a different vibe to the table with all of his, macho man, whatever stuff. I feel like this was just a moment where he got overwhelmed and like probably lost a frustrating pot. And it just, we've all folded a little too hard. We've all thrown a little too, whatever.
Never.
Oh, see, I'm always trying to take someone's head off. No. Like he gets a pass. It was definitely an accident. And then he threw a 1K chip at the dealer to apologize. Like, clearly, he was embarrassed about it. I mean, he gets a pass. It's okay. He's done so much other good stuff, and kind of like he really, I think, puts an effort to be a positive. Well, I don't know about positive, but like an entertaining force at the table at the very least.
Oh, the table. Okay.
Yeah.
Usually positive. I was like, dude, look at the man's Twitter.
No. Yeah.
He's a misogynist. Why am I singing every episode now?
Yeah, it didn't look like he did it on purpose, and still not cool. But hopefully he learns from it. I think
And then
he did apologize.
Did Nick Airball leave the game afterwards because of that?
I don't know. I didn't watch much past that. So
I mean,
I just want to make fun of him.
I got to
too.
imagine that Nick Airball's done much, meaner shit, or like the people in this game have done much scummier stuff than that. So like, I feel like we're just focusing on it because it's Jungleman, and like if it was Crypto Bob or one of these random dudes in the game that is in.
Oh, I disagree. Actually, I think no matter what, if someone threw the cards of the dealer and it's bigger news because it's Jungleman. Obviously,
yeah. I don't know if they'd get banned though, or I don't know if they'd get I don't know if they'd be the same thing. It's like, hey man, you can't do that, whatever.
Let's talk about this other live stream. It was the $1 million buy-in King Poker Cup $1 million cash game that was taking place in Jeju, South Korea. There was a staggering 5 million chip pot. This is a $5 million US dollar pot between a player that was known as, I believe it was SK, and Aaron Zhang, who's a Triton poker champ. The board was basically exploded on the river. The board read 10, 7, Queen, King, 8, no flush draw possibilities or no flush possibilities. And there was, the blinds were 1,000, 2,000. There's a bet of 800,000 into the pot. It was Zhang who had a straight with Jack 9 betting 800K, and it was ST in early position. They didn't show the hand on the stream as it was playing out. They did afterwards, but he moved all in for 1.7 million essentially. And Aaron hits the tank, eventually calls with a straight, only to be shown ace jack Broadway. So the nuts against the second nuts, but 5 million US dollars, a new record for the biggest live stream cash game hand ever. Gentlemen, thoughts on this one? Could you have gotten away with the second nuts there?
Probably. I don't know. I hope so.
I don't know. It's hard to say. In these gigantic cash games, there's so many other meta things going on.
Yeah.
We don't know if there's side games, side bets, etc. All that sort of stuff plays out. And then also, I'm not sure exactly how many big blinds they had to start the hand, but it's relatively difficult to get away from second nuts versus first nuts, especially in a situation where it's straight versus straight. And there's a lot of other good hands you can have that you can put a lot of money in the pot that do not beat Jack 9. Now, when you get raised on the river such a small amount, it was 800K to 1.9 million. Obviously, in absolute terms, 1.1 million extra is an insane amount of money or whatever it was. In pot terms, it's 2.3x raise. So you got to be pretty confident that sometimes he doesn't have ace jack to make the call. It all depends on the player. I don't know. You'd have to be there, but you certainly can't fault the man for calling second nuts. If you're folding the second nuts, that means you have 0 calls that aren't the nuts generally. And that's quite a bit of a problem in your overall strategy. Now, $5 million pot, biggest ever, maybe you can fold everything but the nuts. Who knows? I'm not there. And good for ST winning himself a $5 million pot. Pretty insane.
Yeah. Aaron Zhang was the guy who beat Bryn heads up, where they chopped the $1 million buy-in in London for Triton heads up. So, maybe he's still got a little bit of that left over, and he was like, all right, if he's got it, he's got it. It's just 1.9 more. I mean, what are we doing here? Yeah. So. But
I said,
that's great. 5 million, it just feels like obscene, obnoxious almost. Like, what are we...
It's quite a bit
children.
more.
I don't know.
100%.
Quite a bit more than the previous record, which was just over 3 million from 2023 Hustler Casino Live, $1 million cash game, Tom Dwan against Wesley Fay in that one. So quite a bit more, $2 million more in the new record. Let's talk about a story that we didn't cover last week because we didn't have the information we needed at the time when we were recording. And that is David Peters getting called out by Dylan Linde for owing some money. This started as a tweet thread by Dylan. And then a few days later, David Peters ended up responding a $50,000 debt. David Peters did admit the wrongdoing, that he intends to pay it back. And then this exploded into a larger conversation within the poker world. His wife, Haley Hanna, who's guest hosted on this show several times. We love Haley, was getting involved for a little bit. And a lot of people came after her unnecessarily. But a lot of people were really surprised that you have David Peters, who has won $50 million in tournament winnings over the course of his career, according to the Hendon Mob. Now, of course, we know that's not all profit, far from it, but a lot of people might not know that or realize that, especially the average poker fan. So a lot of people were just dumbfounded of how could he win $50 million playing high stakes poker tournaments and not be able to afford $50,000 and paying that back. Mike, Ben, what was your take on this situation involving Dylan Linde and David Peters?
Oh well, it's unfortunate, and I want to preface this by saying I'm good friends with Haley, and I'm friends with David. I like David quite a bit. Not that we've hung out a lot, but whenever I talk to David, I'm always friendly, and I've always been a big fan of David Peters. His bluff in the 250K was legendary.
So good.
He's had a lot of legendary moments. Now, with that said, it's not cool to have a situation where you accept a lot of money from someone and when you're buying their action, and then you buy action again and you don't pay them. Dylan had said originally that David wasn't going to pay him the rest. I had spoken to Haley, and she said that wasn't the case. That David said he was going to pay the rest of the debt to Dylan. There was some sort of miscommunication. As long as David Peters pays the debt in a reasonable amount of time, he absolutely, I think, can earn the respect of the community. And I think it was really good that he came out and said, I'm working to pay this back. I'm sorry. I want to earn the respect of the community back. I think it's very important. If he came out and said nothing, I would say, wow, really scumbag shit. He's come out. He's owned it. He said he's going to take care of it. I don't see any reason why not to trust him in that scenario. Now, if it comes out later on that he's not paying his debts, we have a Maurice Hawkins type situation. That's really unfortunate. Mike Jones. But yeah, I think that I think that getting out ahead of it, saying you're going to pay the debts, very important. And here's the thing, right? And I know plenty of poker players who this has happened to. You see the $50 million, you're like, the guy's got to be super rich, right? Well, what happens when you win $50 million is every single person that you've ever been cordial with now calls you or texts you and asks, I need a stake. I don't know what to do. I've got no money, blah, blah, blah. And you think to yourself, well, it's fine. It's just this or that. Then all of a sudden you got 10 dudes under you and you're paying for all their shit. They're lying about stuff. They're losing. You feel like you can't stop because you're going to whore them. Then you've got money here and there. Then somebody who owes you money doesn't pay you back. Now all of a sudden you're like, I have $10 million owed to me and I owe people $1.3 million. I have no liquid. What am I going to do? I'm not saying that's the situation he's in. I'm not privy to the exact situation. I'm just saying the people who think to themselves, wow, he's not even a winner in poker. That's ridiculous. The guy's won millions of dollars in poker and profit. I think that if I had to make my educated guess, David Peters made some mistakes financially outside of poker, and he's working his way to pay them off. And I really hope he does, because I always viewed him as one of the good guys. So when this happened, it certainly took me aback.
Yeah, look, I mean, we all know this. We've talked about this before. There's no more cash-intensive business on the planet than poker, especially when you're playing the highest
Stripping.
stakes. Well, fair enough. Okay, I guess you can't Venmo a stripper, but there's no like capital-intensive business on the planet like poker. You want to play a 100K tournament, wherever the money comes from, you got to get the cash and bring it to the cage, or, whatever. It's got to be in your account. So money's moving all over the place all the time to get these buy-ins, to get these, get people into these events. And Peters has played the literal highest stakes tournaments in the world for his entire career. So, over that time, money goes back and forth. Money is lent, all those things. I'm sure mistakes were made. Maybe it was bad timing. People go on downswings. People make business mistakes. Obviously, he's got a family and a house and things to take care of. So to me, I always just look at your response. The response is, and that's what Mike said. All that matters is that he pays this back and he took accountability and he apologized and said, I'm going to earn the trust of the community back. I'm going to make this right. And that's what matters to me.
Keep an eye on that story like we did with Maurice Hawkins. There's a stark difference to me in how these two people have handled it.
Well, racist, that's the difference. Duh. No,
I mean, according to Maurice, that could be a contributing factor, but even though it's not, just, he's taken responsibility. Now he just has to follow through. That's where Maurice has fallen short time and time again. But let's talk about a positive story, one that I really enjoyed. And that was Sorel Mizzi, who posted in the middle of April on his 40th birthday that he is in the best shape of his life. And if you see these pictures, they're pretty impressive. I'm sure we're showing some on screen. Just looks like he could be on the cover of Men's Health or Muscle and Fitness magazine. He was kind enough to sit down with me for a chat to talk about how he did it, why he did it. Hint, it was Bill Perkins and yet another big-time bet. We get into the details there, and just to talk a little bit about life in general and what role poker plays in his life nowadays. Check it out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am with our guest this week, somebody I'm very excited to speak with. It's been quite a while. Sorel Mizzi joining me from Switzerland right now.
Switzerland. I'm doing a little detox retreat right now, after spending a week in San Sebastian. So, yeah, loving it.
Yeah, I'm excited to catch up with you because I know you are out and about in the world, and you had a post on social media in the middle of April, rather. It was your 40th birthday, and you tweeted that you are in the best shape of your life. And I think myself and a lot of others who saw this post were just blown away by the physical transformation. So, I mean, first things first, as somebody who's trying to get in shape myself, I'm take my hat off if I had one, or I can just clap for you because, man, it is quite incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Physical fitness and being in good shape has always sort of been something that I've wanted to be, but it's also a struggle. Like I've kind of been a little bit up and down. It's much like my bankroll in my poker days, like up and down a lot. And I just decided on my 40th birthday, this was going to be the time that I really did my best to get in the best shape of my life. And like I wanted it to be a significant improvement in like even to the best shape that I had ever been in the past. And yeah, I got there. So that was good.
Yeah, it is quite amazing. And it said in your tweet that, Bill Perkins was kind of the catalyst of that there was a bet involved, which is often the case in poker. We've seen it with Sean Deeb and others throughout the years. And, in my opinion, Bill Perkins doing these sort of things is great. It's a great motivating factor for folks. What was it about the offer, and what was the offer that appealed to you?
Yeah, so I texted Bill right around 6 months before my 40th birthday. And I know that he has an affinity for these bets. And I also know that he's actually up money in these bets, believe it or not. Or that's what I've been told. And I knew that, this was kind of like probably a combination of he thinks he has the best side, and also he's doing something very kind. Like it's when somebody gives you a massive amount of financial incentive to get in good shape, like the incentive of getting in good shape should be enough, but having that extra layer of benefit is obviously super motivating. And so I reached out to him and I said, listen, like I'm turning 40. I just went to Bali and I got in some good shape, but I see myself like on the decline again because I was in Europe at the time, and I was just all the practices that I had been getting in the habit of in Bali just kind of went out the window. And I really didn't want to see it slip away like I had so many times, because I remember like when I'm in good shape and when I've been in good shape in the past, I always remember just how much more juice I get out of life. Like it just feels like life is happening at a much more pleasurable dimension. Mm-hmm. And so it was really important to me. And we discussed the terms, and he laid out a bet that was extremely challenging. I thought maybe like, okay, under 15%, let's do that. But he said under 12% within 6 months. And basically the rules were I could do anything, but no. At first he said I could take steroids, but I'm like, I don't want to do that. I actually prefer to raise the stakes of the bet, but not take any TRT, because at some point, I want to have kids, and I heard that it could affect the fertility. So that was the rule, and I basically knew that I was in for a lot of pain, and it was going to be like a journey that was going to be really simple but not easy. Like this, if you do this, and this, you're going to get the result. But doing this, and this is the hard part. But all you have to do is wake up every morning and do this, and this, and then you'll get there. And that's kind of how what I did is like day by day, I knew what I had to do and I did it.
You had a great line in your tweet, said 6 months of choosing pain until it slowly became the best part of my day, which resonated with me as, is once you start going to the gym or getting on the treadmill like I have been at first, it sucks. It sucks really bad. But then eventually you push through it and you choose that pain, and it just becomes part of the habit and part of the day. So that resonated with me. What did you start at? You needed to get down to 12%. I know your DEXA got you in at 9%, which is incredible. What did you start at when the bet started?
So I actually didn't have a DEXA when we started, but I was around the same weight as a deck set that I had done maybe like 5 or 6 months prior, which brought me in at I think 25.8%. So I would imagine I was somewhere between 24 to 26%. I was I weighed slightly more than that, and I don't think I had any meaningfully more amount of muscle. So,
and I don't know if you've shared this, if this is out there, if you're willing to share. If not, that's fine. But what did you end up winning as part of the bet, and what could you have lost? What were the kind of the terms in that regard?
Yeah, so this was not a free roll. Like, this wasn't like, hey, if you get to this, then I'm going to give you the money. It was more like I had the potential to lose the same amount of money that I was going to win, which was $300,000. I shared about it publicly, so I don't mind talking about it. But we settled at $300,000, and but yeah, like I said, especially after doing this, the money was nice, but I'm so glad I did it. And the real test is going to be if I can keep this off and if I can keep this going. Mm-hmm. And that's partly why I'm here in Switzerland. I'm doing this like detox retreat right now. There's this great book by James Clear. What's that book called? The habit book, Atomic Habits.
Yeah, Atomic Habits, which is great. I read it a couple years ago. It's
really good. And I've been integrating a lot of the ideas from that book. You're basically voting for the type of person that you want to be. Mm-hmm. And I really love that framing. Is like every decision you make is a vote for the person that you want to be. And using that mental model really helped me a lot with this.
Yeah, I love that. And it reminds me of something that resonated with me along the same lines, I think. It was just a simple saying that I think really changed my life in a lot of ways, but especially with working out and trying to get in shape. And the simple saying was, you're not the voice that's in your head, you're the person who listens to it. Right. And so for me, it would be like, I'd be on the treadmill, I'm running, I'm trying to get to a mile or whatever. And like in my that voice in my head would say like, oh, you can't do this. You just can't. And then it's like, wait, no, I'm not that person. Let me block that out, ignore that. I am the guy who can run a mile on the treadmill, and you push through. And like that definitely really helped me in a lot of regards. So.
Absolutely. And they've actually done some, I remember listening on a Huberman podcast, they were talking about how there's actually a physical part of our brain that grows when we do things that we don't like.
What's the plans for you coming up? Are we going to see you in Vegas for the World Series of Poker at all?
Probably not this year. Honestly, I'm loving life in Europe, and, I'm spending some time in Dubai and Bali, and it's a shame because Vegas is obviously like the World Series is obviously like such an amazing event, and but it also falls in like one of the most brutal times to be in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. So it's just hot and it's kind of miserable, and like every time I've played a full schedule of World Series events, I'll start off like being like super happy to be there and like I'm excited, back on the grind. And then midway through, I'm just like, what am I doing with my life? So as I get older, I'm more careful about how I spend my time. And, I'm playing some app games right now, and those are really fun, but I'm not really playing that much poker these days. I'm honestly a recreational player these days. Like, people invite me to their games these days because I'm blasting. PLO 5, put me in, coach. Straddle all in before the flop, no problem.
I love it. I've told this story before, and it holds true. It's one of my favorite WSOP main event stories. I don't know if you'll remember this, and I don't know the exact year. I'd have to guess it was around 2012, give or take. But it was day one of the main event, whatever flight it was. You were at your starting table, and as I recall it, at that starting table, day one, nobody at your table busted at all, and nobody but you finished above the starting stack. It was like a master class of taking advantage of the table situation and the inexperienced players, and I mean, you just don't see something like that every day.
Wow, I'm glad that you remember that, because that was actually one of my most proud poker moments of all time. It was number one, and then it became number two when Ivy asked to buy action from me. That was like that beat that one. But. Yeah, that was, I remember that very clearly. And, I remember that very clearly. And, that was, 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 I remember that very clearly. World Series of Poker main event is the one time. I mean, I don't know about now, but back then it was just, you could just do so much. You could just maneuver so much. This is like the era where Annette Oberstad won the tournament without looking at her cards. Like everything was just about position. And I don't think, I mean, it's possible that you could do that kind of thing nowadays, but it's not as likely as before. But yeah, I definitely remember that. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, no worries. It's just one that's always stuck with me for sure. Sorel, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Again, like, this is very inspiring, not only for me, I'm sure a lot of the other listeners and our readers are also going to feel the same way. The transformation is incredible. I mean, the pictures that you posted on your social media, you could be on the cover of Men's Fitness. And it's just, you should be very proud of yourself.
Thank you, Chad. I appreciate it. And honestly, I hope that this is a catalyst and to your own personal journey, because like I said, health is wealth. There's nothing better than being in amazing shape. And I just can't even, like, I can't even describe like just the difference mentally that I feel.
The big thank you to Sorel Mizzi for taking the time to chat with me. Guys, I know you've seen the Twitter post. It's pretty impressive stuff. I wish I could get that in that good a shape.
Yeah, Mike said he's going to wash his underwear on those abs. They're so rock hard.
Dude, I'll wash more than that, baby boy. Looking like a young Omar Sadar out there.
Young Omar Sadar. Yeah. Anyway, if Bill Perkins wants to give Mike and I a lot of money to combined get under 20% body fat, we're in.
You mean like
one of us can be 11, one of us could be 8, one of us could be 10.
I don't think you understand how hard 11 and 8 would be.
Yeah, I don't think you understand how much money Bill Perkins has.
Dude, 11 is so crazy.
I would do anything.
I was yoked, best shape ever. And I was like 13, 14% body fat. I don't see how I could get any lower than that.
Look, if you don't want it bad enough, that's fine.
I guess you're right.
All right, Chad and I will go together then.
Sorel got under, I think 11 was his mark, or 12, and he got to 9. So it obviously is not an easy thing to do, but very impressive. And hopefully he can maintain that. Sounds like he is going to. Gentlemen, let's talk about some recent tournament winners presented by 888 Poker. They're actually gearing up to kick off their latest XL series. The dates on that are going to run May 3rd through the 12th with more than $1.5 million in guarantees. There is a $500K Rakeless Mystery Bounty main event, $250 buy-in with multiple starting flights.
Rakeless.
Rakeless. Yeah, they've been doing a lot of Rakeless stuff over there on 888 Poker. So check them out. We'll link to it in the show notes. But let's wrap up the US Poker Open that took place. We talked about most of the winners last week's episode, but there were still a couple to take place, including the 25K finale, and it was one David Coleman. Mike, we talk about David Coleman, seems like every month on this show.
Yeah, the New Jersey Devil does it again. What can you do? Yeah. He's a man with a plan.
Our topics on this podcast are Maurice, other debts, big cash game pots, and David Coleman winning tournaments. So what's there to say but what a goat.
He's the best.
He took down the 25K finale, outlasting a field of 48 runners, defeated Kristen Foxen in heads-up play to claim the title for $420,000. Darren Elias, Jesse Lannis, Cherish Andrews, Ebony Kenny, all at that final table. But becoming the overall champion for the U.S. Poker Open, as predicted, was Brock Wilson. He had just an incredible series, 495 points when all was said and done, $434,000 in earnings. Jeremy Osmus, second place with 399 points, and then Kristen Foxen vaulted up to third place with 377 points. But it's been a good year for Brock Wilson. I think it is his second overall Poker Go Tour title this year.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah.
It's a garbage factory, you know? The guy's a factory of garbage, just winning everything. What a piece of shit.
Yeah, what he said.
What a piece of shit, Brock.
Well,
no, Brock posted a funny picture, or it wasn't supposed to be funny, but it was a picture of the trophy and saying it's bigger than it looks. And I was like, yeah, it is.
Hell yeah. Good for Brock.
I want to give a congratulations to somebody I used to host a podcast with before both of you came along.
Jamie Kerstetter.
Jamie Kerstetter and I from the LFG podcast days.
I remember.
She has a winner's photo because she was at the 2026 Lips U.S. Team Poker Championship, which was at South Point, 384 runners. She was part of Team Hot Dog with, I don't remember who's all on there. I think Lindsay and Kina England is all part of this, but it was Jamie who closed it out to take it down for over $7,000. And just wanted to give her a shout out because, I don't know, I like when Jamie wins. Jamie and I had a lot of fun with the podcast. Maybe not as much fun as the three of us have.
Wow.
But yeah.
Get fucked, Jamie.
Yeah, sucks to suck. No, congratulations.
Good job finally winning a tag team heads up, dummy. Because she got heads up and lost in the brace event. I'll see myself
Yeah, no,
out.
I'll
see myself out.
The only time I've ever won a tournament, I think.
No one gives a.
Oh, okay, sorry. I was gonna say it was a heads up, and Sarah Stefan won for me because it was a tag team event. I played like 2 hours of heads up, lost chips. She just got 40 bigs in, ace jack versus ace 10. First hand she played heads up, wins for us.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, but basically what I'm trying to say is chicks rule, guys rule.
Fuck yeah, dude. Feminism.
That's going to do it for this episode. We can tease a little bit because it'll be a little bit before this episode comes out, but you guys did film in studio the first PokerNews podcast without me in it, I think, since you guys joined up. You two took the reins. We're in studio with Justin Young and Art Parmann from the Table One podcast. We wouldn't want to spoil too much, but sounds like it was a pretty fun episode, gentlemen.
Yeah, if you're under 21 years old, don't even listen.
It's funny you say that, Chad, because I'm pretty sure you haven't watched the episode yet. So let's hold off on telling the audience about it.
No, it was really fun. Those guys are great. I'd love to. Yeah, they are. Hopefully, we can do more with them because they're game to be silly, and they're obviously big personalities in the poker world. And I've looked up to JY for 20 years and known him for a long time. So. Cool to sit down with him and other unk.
Like, subscribe, give us the 5-star review, share far and wide. We got big things coming up for the 2026 World Series of Poker, and we will dive into more of that in next week's episode, 8 a.m. Pacific time on every Thursday. And we'll be doing multiple episodes a week during the summer. I'm Chad Holloway, Ben Ludlow, Mike Holtz. We'll be back next week. And until then, we'll keep a seat open for you.